My wife lied about our son's real father for 7 years, shattering my world. I found a secret letter that exposed her betrayal, leaving me angry and lost. How could she hide this from me and still call us a family? My name is Mark, and I'm 35 years old. I've been married to my wife, Susan, for 8 years. We have a son, Ethan, who's 6 now, and for the longest time I thought my life was pretty much perfect. I work as a project manager at a construction company. Decent pay, stable hours, nothing flashy but enough to keep us comfortable. Susan's a stay-at-home mom, always bustling around the house, keeping everything in order. She's the kind of person who's warm and caring on the outside, always smiling, always asking how your day went. But she's got this stubborn streak too. Once she decides something, good luck changing her mind. Ethan's a quiet kid, thoughtful, with these big brown eyes that always seem to be studying the world. I used to think he got that from me, but now I know better. It all started about 6 months ago. I was cleaning out the garage, looking for an old toolbox I hadn't touched in years. There was this beat-up cardboard box shoved in the corner, full of random stuff. Old bills, some photos, a couple of Susan's college notebooks. I wasn't even trying to snoop, but a folded piece of paper slipped out when I moved the box. It was a letter, handwritten, dated 7 years back. The handwriting wasn't Susan's, and the tone was off. It was from some guy named Aaron, apologizing for how things ended, and asking if she was sure about keeping it from him. Him meaning me, I guess. There was something about the kid too, and how he'd help if she'd just let him. My stomach dropped. I sat there on the cold garage floor, rereading it, trying to convince myself it didn't mean what I thought it meant. I didn't confront Susan right away. I'm not the type to blow up without thinking. I shoved the letter in my pocket and spent the next few days watching her, looking for signs. She didn't act any different. Same old Susan, making dinner, helping Ethan with his homework, kissing me goodnight. But now every little thing bugged me. The way she avoided my eyes sometimes. How she'd changed the subject when I asked about her past. I started digging quietly. I checked Ethan's birth certificate online. My name was there as the father, but that didn't prove anything. Susan could have lied when she filled it out. I even thought about a DNA test, but I didn't know how to get one without her finding out. Then came the first big problem on top of all this. My mom got sick, real sick. She'd been battling diabetes for years, but now it was kidney failure, and the doctors said she needed dialysis 3 times a week. My dad's gone, so it fell on me to help. I was driving her to appointments, paying what I could for her meds, juggling work and home. Susan didn't complain, but I could tell she was annoyed. She'd say stuff like, "You're barely here anymore," or "Ethan misses you." It stung because I was trying so hard to keep everything together, and she didn't seem to get it. Meanwhile, I was carrying this secret suspicion about Ethan, and it was eating me alive. One night, after Mom's appointment, I came home late. Susan was in the kitchen, scrubbing dishes like she was mad at them. Ethan was already in bed. I couldn't hold it in anymore. I pulled the letter out of my wallet. I'd been carrying it around like some kind of evidence, and set it on the counter. "What's this?" I asked, keeping my voice steady. She froze, just for a second, then turned around. Her face went pale. "Where'd you find that?" "Garage." "Answer me, Susan. What's it about?" She didn't say anything at first. She just stared at the letter, then at me. Finally, she sat down at the table, hands shaking a little. "It's not what you think," she said, but her voice was weak, like she didn't even believe herself. "Is Ethan mine?" I cut in. No point dancing around it. She looked away, and that was all the answer I needed. My chest tightened, like someone had punched me. "Who's Aaron?" I pressed. "He's someone I knew before we met," she said quietly. "It was a mistake. A short thing. I found out I was pregnant right after we started dating, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to lose you. So you lied? For 7 years." My voice was louder now, angrier. "You let me think he was mine? I didn't know for sure at first," she shot back. "And by the time I did, we were married, and you loved him, and I thought it didn't matter." "Didn't matter?" I laughed, but it wasn't funny. Susan, that's my kid up there. I've raised him. I've been his dad. And you're telling me it's all built on a lie. She started crying then, saying she was sorry, that she didn't mean to hurt me. But I couldn't listen. I grabbed my keys and left. I drove around for hours, ended up at some empty parking lot near the river. I sat there, staring at the water, trying to figure out what the hell I was supposed to do. Ethan wasn't mine, not by blood, but he was mine in every other way. I taught him how to ride a bike, stayed up with him when he had nightmares, cheered at his soccer games. Did it even matter that he wasn't my DNA? The next few weeks were a mess. I moved into the guest room. Susan and I barely talked unless it was about Ethan or bills. She kept trying to apologize, but I wasn't ready to hear it. On top of that, Mom's condition got worse. She had to stay in the hospital for a while, and the bills were piling up. I was stressed out of my mind, working overtime to cover everything. Then Susan's brother, Jason, showed up out of nowhere. Jason's a loud guy, opinionated, the kind who thinks he knows everything. He's 32, single, works some sales job that he brags about too much. He'd always been close to Susan, and I never minded him much until now. He came over one Saturday, supposedly to check on us, but it didn't take long for him to stick his nose in. Susan told me what's going on, he said, leaning against the kitchen counter while I was making coffee. You're being too hard on her, man. She made a mistake. People mess up. She lied about my son, I said, not looking at him. That's not just a mistake. She was scared. And Ethan's still your kid, right? You're the one raising him. I didn't answer. He kept going, saying I should man up and forgive her. That family's more than blood. Pissed me off. He didn't get it, he wasn't the one blindsided. I told him to mind his own business and kicked him out. Susan got mad at me for that, saying I was pushing everyone away. Maybe she was right, but I didn't care. I felt like I was drowning, and no one was throwing me a rope. Work wasn't helping either. My boss started writing me about deadlines, saying I'd been off lately. I couldn't argue. I was distracted, tired all the time. One day, I snapped at a coworker over something stupid, and it nearly got me written up. I knew I had to get a grip, but every time I tried to focus, my mind went back to Susan and Ethan and that damn letter. I started thinking about Aaron too. Who was this guy? Did he know about Ethan? Was he out there somewhere waiting to swoop in? I did something I'm not proud of. I looked him up. Took me a while, but I found an Aaron who matched the timeline on LinkedIn. Mid-30s, works in finance, lives a couple of hours away. His profile picture showed a guy with a smug smile, like he had the world figured out. I wondered if he'd ever tried to contact Susan again, if he'd show up one day claiming what he thought was his. About a week after my argument with Jason, I started noticing little things around the house that made me question everything even more. Ethan had this old stuffed bear he'd carried around since he was a baby, one I'd always assumed we'd bought together. But one afternoon, while he was napping with it, I saw a tiny tag sewn into the side. Initials that read AT. I didn't know what the T stood for, but they hit me like a brick. Was it Aaron's? Had Susan kept something from him all these years? Something sentimental she couldn't let go of? I didn't ask her about it. Didn't want to start another fight. But it gnawed at me, making me wonder how many other pieces of our life had his shadow on them. On top of that, I had a rough call with my mom's doctor that same week. He told me her insurance wouldn't cover a new medication that could help her kidneys, and it'd cost me an extra $500 a month out of pocket. I didn't tell Susan right away because I knew it'd just lead to another argument about money. She'd been dropping hints lately about wanting to go back to work part-time, maybe at a daycare to help out. I didn't like the idea. Felt like it was her way of avoiding me even more. But with Mom's bills stacking up, I started thinking maybe I'd have to swallow my pride and let her. It was just one more thing weighing on me, pulling me in every direction. The breaking point came one night when Ethan got sick. He had a fever, bad enough that we had to take him to the ER. Susan and I sat in the waiting room, not talking, just watching him sleep on her lap. He looked so small, so fragile. I kept thinking, this is my son, no matter what any test would say. When the doctor finally saw him and said it was just a virus, I felt this wave of relief and guilt. I'd been so caught up in my anger that I hadn't been there for him like I should have. That's when I decided I needed a plan. I couldn't keep living like this, half in and half out of my own family. I sat down with Susan the next day, when Ethan was back at school. I told her I wasn't ready to forgive her, but I wasn't walking away either. Ethan deserved a dad, and I was it. She nodded, tears in her eyes, and said she'd do whatever it took to fix things. First, I wanted the truth, all of it. She admitted she'd slept with Aaron right before we got together, and when she found out she was pregnant, she panicked. She hadn't talked to him since that letter, didn't even know if he suspected Ethan was his. I told her I wanted a DNA test, not because I'd stopped being Ethan's dad, but because I needed to know for sure. She agreed, though I could tell it scared her. Second, I laid down some rules. No more secrets. If Aaron ever showed up, she had to tell me. And Jason needed to stay out of it. I didn't want him playing mediator. She didn't argue, which surprised me. Maybe she really meant it about fixing things. The DNA test came back a month later. Ethan wasn't mine biologically. I'd braced myself for it, but seeing it in black and white still hurt. I didn't tell Susan I'd already accepted it in my head. I just filed the results away and kept going. Mom was out of the hospital by then, doing better, and work had calmed down too. Things weren't perfect, but they were manageable. Susan and I started talking more. Not like before, but better than the silence. She'd ask about my day. I'd ask about Ethan's. Small steps. One night, she cooked my favorite meal, spaghetti with homemade sauce, and we ate together as a family. Ethan chattered about school, and for the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. Looking back, I'm grateful. Not for the lie, that'll always sting, but for what it taught me. Ethan's my son, blood or not. I chose him, and he chose me back in all the ways that matter. Susan's still my wife, and yeah, she messed up big, but I'm not innocent either. I could have handled it better, talked to her sooner instead of letting it fester. We're not fixed, not completely, but we're here, and that's something. So here's where I'm at now. I'm sticking around, rebuilding what I can. I've got Ethan, a job that pays the bills, and Mom's still kicking. Susan's trying, and I'm trying too. But I want to hear from you, anyone who's listening. What do you think I should do next? Keep going like this, slow and steady? Or push harder? Demand more from her? Maybe even track down Aaron and settle it once and for all? I think I've made the right call so far, but I'm no expert. Tell me, was this the best way to handle it? Or did I miss something? Let me know. I could use the advice.
Thanks for watching. Give it a like, hit subscribe, and come back for more cool stuff.